Everyone wants to get the most value for their money and beat rising prices. That's why people try to stretch their budget as far as possible and make their money go further. The sad truth is that most products we buy come with a hefty markup and outrageous profits for multinational businesses. This is due to the unbelievably low cost of manufacture. As I talk about markups going forward, let's first make sure you understand what I mean by the term. In simple terms, markup is the difference between cost price and selling price of a good or service. For example, if something costs $1 to make and then sells for $2.50, its markup will be 150%. Number 10. Text messages. Remember the days when text messages were free? Well, that era is long over, and now the largest phone carriers have clamped down and released coverage plans that seek to maximize profits per text. The cost that major telecommunication giants like AT&T and Verizon have incurred for text average between a thousandth of a penny to 8,000. But these days, customers are charged an average of 20 cents per text with payment plans that include pay-as-you-go annual and multi-year options. That means we're paying tens of thousands more than it cost. That great deal you thought you were getting doesn't seem that grand once you do some simple math. So if wireless carriers price text messaging at their actual wholesale cost, we would pay approximately 1 to 8 cents for 1,000 text messages. And with so few companies offering complete coverage, coast-to-coast consumers' choices are limited, thus the price gouging continues. Number 9. Popcorn. Popcorn and movies have always gone hand in hand. But the price of popcorn in movie theaters have undergone massive price hikes over the years as cinemas search out new revenue streams as studios take more percentage points on each new release. AMC and Regal Cinemas are two well-known theater companies that retail a small bag of popcorn for $6.50, which costs a mere 35 cents to produce. That equates to a markup of an astounding 18 times the actual production rate. But it's not all doom and gloom. Based on conducted studies, this markup enables theaters to keep ticket prices lower and increase sales. Number 8. Mattresses. Within the furniture industry, the mattress sector is far and beyond the most lucrative, with markup prices veering from the expensive to the extreme. On the low end, buyers can find prices that include 100% markup. On the high end, mattresses could be marked up by well over 1,500%. That means you could be paying $5,000 for something that costs a mere $300 to make. This is the typical breakdown of what you're usually paying. So how is this possible? For a plethora of reasons. Apparently, most obviously, it's because there are only a handful of companies in the industry. This sort of market form is called an oligopoly because in the mattress industry, only 4 companies account for around 60% of all revenue. Since there are so few competitors, these companies have easily aligned very high profit margins without competition and were just forced to pay their prices. So why doesn't someone just enter the market with a cheaper mattress and make millions? Well, it's not as easy as that. Most mattresses are sold through retailers who take a cut. They order from the largest manufacturers, and each mattress company usually slaps on a different name or label for each mattress retailer. Crucially, this makes it difficult for anyone but a true mattress expert to compare prices. So when one retailer says they can match the price of another mattress, it may be because it's the exact same one. And after all, we only really buy a mattress every 5 to 10 years. So most of us find it hard to gauge its quality. Hardly anyone will feel bad laying on a new mattress when we've been sleeping on a mediocre one for years. So we usually just soak up the salesman's rhetoric that we're getting a good deal. Add to that all the features you likely don't notice, but they upsell you anyway, like extra foam, and you have yet more reasons to add additional margins to the sale. If you need a mattress, I suggest just ordering online. Sure, you won't be able to test it before your purchase, but they are far more transparent and inexpensive. Number 7. Printer cartridges. Being able to print documents from the privacy of your own home is a convenience we all want, but it also comes with an added expense. The major electronics manufacturers know that premium printer cartridges are an absolute necessity, subjecting consumers into a catch-22 situation, where they sell printers at relatively inexpensive prices, but generate millions with their lines of printer cartridges. According to studies, Hewlett-Packard offers cartridges for printers that retail between $13 to $50, with a production rate estimated between $4 to $5, constituting to a markup that is 3 to 10 times the actual cost. HP recently released a statement that the company invests billions of dollars annually into ink development and research. Though this hardly justifies the true reason, they're so expensive, which is profit. With the biggest electronic manufacturers in the industry adopting similar business models, it's virtually impossible for consumers to avoid the high prices associated with printer cartridges. Number 6. Textbooks. It costs about $11 to print a new edition to the standard algebra textbook, though college students often end up paying a retail price of over $200, a markup more than 20 times the manufacturing fees. Though you may be led to believe that, it's because publishers have other costs, like royalties to authors, editorial production, transportation marketing, and employees' salaries in bookstores. The main reason is simpler than that. They cost so much because publishers force students to buy new books by releasing expensive new editions each year, making older books obsolete, therefore undermining the used book market. On average, students spend $655 each year on textbooks, according to the National Association of College Stores. Number 5. Electronics. Electronics are now essential parts of our everyday lives, from remote control devices to cables, calculators, and more. One particularly expensive device is the graphing calculator. Texas Instruments is the leading manufacturer of these devices. Their production costs range between $15 to $20, but at retail, their TI-83 graphing calculator sells anywhere from $100 to $140, a markup price that is typically 7 times more than manufacturing costs. They could do this because textbook publishers often provide exercises that coincide with specific calculators and their functions, necessitating students to purchase a specific device regardless of price. Other electronics, like TVs and video game systems, don't turn huge profits for electronic stores, so they turn to their accessories to maximize profits. HDMI cables give consumers the power to stream content directly between their TV and laptop at a cost of less than $3 wholesale. The retail price, however, averages about $20 and is unavoidable if you want to enjoy the advances in technology from the comfort of your home. Televisions these days are not manufactured inside the US anymore due to major brands outsourcing production costs to India and China, where the workforce works for substantially less than their American counterparts. Number 4. Shoes and clothing. The price we pay for clothes can vary dramatically from brand to brand, but one component that remains the same is the markup of items purchased. A typical polo shirt costs around $5 to make, but will sell for $14, a markup of 180%. The major costs include materials and transportation, with only around 2% of the wholesale costs going to the workers. There are only a few companies that can make the Made in the USA claim, as the majority of clothing brands opt for manufacturing overseas in other countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh, where the labor rate is around $2 an hour, compared to the average US rate of $20 an hour. The cost to make a pair of American-made jeans like True Religion, for example, are around $50, but the retail price comes in at $335. The company factors in the cost of running stores, shipping, marketing, and other overheads to justify the markup of nearly 7 times the actual production rate. Another area where exorbitant retail prices abound is the shoe industry, with most major brands significantly marking up prices to cover endorsement deals, international production, and marketing cost. Nike's Air Max, for example, carries a production cost of only $33, but retail for $190, a 600% markup that consumers are obviously willing to overlook. Similarly, the Yeezy Boost 750 costs around $76 to make but retails for $350. As long as there remains a hungry market for premium footwear, these prices will continue to hold. Number 3. Seasonal gifts. A cheap card typically costs $1 or $2, and premium cards can go for upwards of $8. But isn't that really expensive for something that is essentially just paper with some ink on it? Yes, but not as much as others in this video. Usually, the markup on a card is around 50 to 100%, which means that on the high end, something that costs $6 might cost around $3 to make. As usual, the reason is economics. The main reason they're so cheap to make is because the lack of competition in the retail space. Hallmark and American Greetings are the giants of the industry, cornering over 90% of the market, which means they can easily gouge the market and charge as much as consumers will pay. Startups who try to compete down card prices are awarded off by the deep relationships that the major manufacturers have with major paper companies and distributors. They also prefer to charge a few dollars per card as a marketing tactic to encourage consumers to substitute up. Think about it. If the cheapest card was $3.99 as opposed to 99 cents, then you're more likely to switch to the $7 premium card if you are swaying to that design anyway. Also, they're not as cheap to produce as you may think, especially the premium ones. Companies employ a lot of people to brainstorm, design, and assemble them. Also, their specialist printers are not cheap and paper costs are rising. That's why you won't see much cheaper prices online. Just as the gift card industry is controlled by relatively few companies, so is another seasonal staple, floristry and roses. During the peak season for rose sales, specifically around Valentine's Day, you'll pay an average of 100 to 300% markup to buy roses. Apart from increased demand, part of the reason is that 80% have to be imported from other places like Colombia and Ecuador, and this is why prices can vary so much. In Los Angeles, where local growers supplement the import market and drive down prices, wholesale prices increase from 70 cents per stem to $1.85 per stem. At retail, they'll go anywhere from $3 to $6. However, New Yorkers have to import their roses, and hence, wholesale prices swell from $1.50 to $2.50 during Valentine's, and retail prices typically rise from $5 to $9. According to bradsdeals.com, the optimal time to buy roses for Valentine's Day is around January 15th to lock in a lower price, as they inevitably get more expensive the longer you wait. Number 2. Drinks. We're all cereal drinkers. From breakfast through dinner, from filtered waters, coffees, smoothies, beer, wine, and beyond. With such a high demand, the industry has a variety of practices in regards to pricing their products. Bottled water is one of the largest growing areas in the industry, which passes on huge markups from leading manufacturers. On average, we pay 300 times the cost of water whenever we buy a bottle of tap water. According to the American Water Works Association, bottled water is 2,000 times the cost of tap water, when taken into account the fact that the majority sold are 16-ounce bottles. Obviously, drink companies have costs of the bottle itself, distribution, and marketing, but that's still an incredibly high markup. Carbonated drinks also have high markups. Coca-Cola's carbonated beverages dominate the market and retail from 50 cents for a can, with material cost of well below 10 cents, which is a markup of 5 to 12 times the production cost. As a leader in the industry, Coca-Cola could charge a lot to consumers because they're selling us experiences and not liquids. They spend a lot of time on marketing and transporting their products too. Number 1. Apple iPhones. Most of us cannot live without our smartphone, and Apple leads the market in this realm, though Apple never releases actual production costs. However, according to analysis by research firm IES Market, the base model of the iPhone X, with 64 gigs of storage, cost approximately $370.25 in raw parts. Then, it's sold for just under $1,000. So the markup is around 170% without taking all other development and design costs into account. That's actually a lot more expensive than previous models, as Apple has really paid a premium for parts of the flagship model. For example, the iPhone 6 Plus cost around $215 to make, whereas the cost of retail is $749, a markup of 250%. Still, it's not as much as other phones. The Galaxy S8 is said to cost around $307.50 per unit to make, and they retail just over $700. So the markup is a lot lower at 130%. So why are iPhones so expensive? It's simply because we're willing to pay for iPhones. Apple still has a reputation for being easier to use and more reliable than Android, though it's no longer necessarily the case in reality. They also rarely offer discounts to make them seem more exclusive. So there are very few opportunities for retailers to undercut the RRP on Apple's own site. Were you surprised about how inexpensive some products you buy are? Do you know any others I should have mentioned? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.